in Gaza. It was a war crime, and she wants to make another war crime. And as we know, this war crime is genocide. And we're here to do whatever we can to stop the genocide. Okay, so as I said, I'm from Ijan, and just to say a sentence on that, Ijan is committed to the struggles for human survival, of which the survival of Palestine and the Palestinians is an indispensable part. That's who we are. We were here last week, and we're going to be here next week. Okay? And just one piece of housekeeping. This is an anti-racist picket. So, no Islamophobia and no anti-Semitism or any other kind of racism. That's the ground rules. Yes? Okay. So I'm going to announce now that this is an open mic and everybody is welcome to speak.
Am Yisrael Chai! Am Yisrael Chai! Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free, free!
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 Palestine!
Okay. Yes. Great. Keep us up to date about the police coming around to your house and asking you to take down your Palestine flag, which you refused.
Yes.
And maybe you could say something about the way they're attacking your Facebook as well. Is that okay?
Last night, I was posting on Facebook about the Israeli extermination of Gaza. And at 4 o'clock in the morning, I suddenly had a message from Facebook that I will be denied posting for the next 29 days. For 29 days, they want our side to be silenced so that only the Israeli lies, the Israeli fake accusation against the Palestinian fighters and against Palestinians in general, that's the only thing that people will see. At 4 o'clock, I sent a message to another activist who was awake because she's in Australia, and she just got the same thing. So Facebook, which has a contract with Israel, is now deliberately silencing people who object the Israeli extermination final solution for the Palestinians, especially people who support BDS, the boycott, divestment and sanction. These are the people that they targeted last night, and I'm sure there will be other people also targeted. They are trying to silence us. However, this is a desperate move because Israel is losing its propaganda. Everybody can see right through it. That it is just pack of lies and that Israel is a genocidal country that is thriving at the extermination of Palestinians.
Yes.
And people now can see, and Israel now is being exposed to what it is, a colonial, settler colonialist who is determined to exterminate the indigenous Palestinian. Free, free,
Palestine!
free, free,
Palestine!
from the river to the sea,
Palestine will be free!
from the river to the sea. Palestine will be free!
Thank you very much, Yael. Just to continue, some years ago, IJAN put out a statement that was signed by Holocaust survivors.
Hospitals! How can that happen? How can that happen in 2023 and the people are not on the streets protesting that horrendous murder that is going on hour by hour of our people? Palestinian lives matter. Palestinian people are our people. Palestinian children are our children. And it's an attempt to absolutely wipe out a generation as well as the extermination of a whole nationality of people. People who, like us, deserve the right to justice of every kind, who have been denied it for 75 years at the hands of this British state and others who are ready to be a part of it. Well, this is what this picket does. It refuses to be a part of it. It refuses to allow us to be seen as the actors in this genocidal deal that they're trying to wipe people out. Because we have seen it before. As Michael said, we've seen it on every shore in Africa. We've seen it in Australia. We have seen genocides in our lifetimes, and we have to stop this one. We don't have a choice. We can't not do this. So please step up, take it where you can. I'm so glad that we can be on the streets of London like this. And we must continue to be able to do this, which means challenging every piece of rotten legislation that the Tories come up with as though we have no rights. We have the right, we will use the right, we will exercise our rights in defense of everybody facing this genocide, because we are next. So, thank you again, IJAN. This is vital, and I'm glad for the mic.
Thank you, Crystal. Just to add to what Crystal was saying, listen to Jeremiah. Those Christians all around the world, killing millions, of resources, and Israel is following that. It's now thieving from Palestine. And they've learned the lesson of genocide and they're doing it, and we're so fucking pissed off. But Israel now is leading what other countries can do. So everybody's looking at Israel and seeing, can we get away with this extent of murder and stealing of resources? No! They're looking at Israel, and it's because I mean, they don't care about us. You think there's too many of us. I do not see useless eaters. Well, that means they can finish up with all of us, and the other countries, particularly the West, are looking to see what Israel can get away with. And we must try like hell to make sure they don't get away with all the things they want to get away with. If we defend Palestine, we will defend ourselves from the murderers of these modern empires. All right, guys, open mic. You're welcome to speak. I see we have Brenton Harrow PSC here. I see we have Camden PSC here.
When we say these words, humanitarian crisis, we bring up ideas of floods, natural disasters, accidents. But what is happening in Gaza is not an accident. It's no mistake. It is ethnic cleansing. It is terrorism. These horrors are enacted by people. Sippy and her friends in this fascist Israeli government and their occupation forces. We Jews are all too familiar with treatment as human animals, subhuman and filth. We also know that this treatment does not come about by coincidence. So when we see Israel turning off the food, electricity and water for 2 million people, this is not an accident. When they go to wreak havoc and bomb half of all homes in Gaza, destroying them or damaging them, we know it's not an accident. When they bomb hospitals, refugee camps, schools, it's no accident. Trapping people in a small strip of land whilst inflicting all of that pain, suffering and torture upon them is no accident. So when Sippy was asked on Sky News, I think, about the emerging humanitarian crisis in Gaza, she said, there is no humanitarian crisis in Gaza. We see her, and we know what she means. These acts of the Israeli state are intentional, and so much more than a humanitarian crisis. As Jews, we know genocide when we see it. And that's why we say, never again, not for anyone. Free, free!
Palestine!
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 Thank you.
Palestine! 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 Palestine!
Thank you. Thanks, Oscar. That's good. Okay, so, any more? There must be more who wants to speak. We have a former Labour councillor here who I'm sure would love to talk about Labour's position. Yes, Simon, we're talking about you behind your back. I'm introducing you as a former Labour councillor who's going to tell us the inside dirt on the Labour position in Gaza.
Okay, if I know it. Yeah, the last time I spoke at one of these demos, I was the local Camden councillor for this ward, and the reason I'm not any longer, because as a city councillor you have a fair assumption that you might get on the shortlist to be chosen again. A reason why I wasn't, because I intended a demonstration outside Labour head office trying to stop them adopting the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism, which if you look at all the examples of it, basically requires you to support Israel, and clearly at the moment that is just not possible, because they are committing war crimes. So I'm not sure I know the current inside dirt on Camden councillors, but I note that none have signed any letters calling for a ceasefire now, and that is what we have got to do.
Shame.
Okay?
Ceasefire now!
Ceasefire now!
Ceasefire now!
Ceasefire now!
Ceasefire!
Ceasefire now!
Now, ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now!
two Labour Council leaders in the country have called for Starmer to resign because of his position on ceasefire. In neighbouring Brent, 38 Labour councillors, including the leader, have signed a statement for a ceasefire. So there is still, despite the purged Labour Party, a lot of voices speaking out against what's going on. I don't know if people have heard, today Israel bombed a convoy of ambulances taking patients away. Tomorrow is a day of action. There's going to be protests all over the place, all over London, all over the country. For those who are here, you might want to come to Kilburn Square tomorrow. We're there from 12 till 1, organised by Brent and Harrow PSC. And then Trafalgar Square is 2:30, a big rally. I don't know if the other news people have heard. The politicians Sunak and Braverman are pushing that there should be no demonstrations in London next weekend. The irony is they're saying they shouldn't clash with Remembrance Day weekend. Well, of course, Remembrance weekend is supposed to remember the dead in the wars. We're not supposed to demonstrate against more being killed in Israel-Palestine. Outrageous, and I hope it'll get defied. Thank you.
Thank you, Pete. Pete's from Brenton Harrow PSC. I know we have Camden PSC here, and maybe where's Luca would like to speak. Who's here? Helen. Helen, you're welcome to come up and speak. Oh, John is here. Ah, John. Hello, John. I know you'd like to speak.
Stop killing our children!
Stop the genocide!
Stop bombing! Stop the bombing!
Stop the bombing! Stop the bombing! Stop the bombing! Stop the bombing! Stop the bombing! Stop the bombing! Stop the bombing! Stop the bombing! Stop the bombing! Stop the bombing! Okay. Yes, you can. Sarah will speak. Thank you.
Okay, just to follow on. Thank you. To follow on from what Crystal said, this defending Gaza and defending Palestine is absolutely urgent. It's urgent to be supporting Palestine and Gaza at this moment. I wanted to mention, some of you know that last week Waterloo Station was packed with several thousand people who took over the train station, and then Liverpool Street was taken over by about 1,000 people at short notice. So we are out in our millions around the world. I saw something like 1.5 million people rallied in Turkey. I mean, and so we are with people like Desmond Tutu, who said that none of us are free unless Palestine is liberated. So we hold on to those people of color who are with us, and we call out the scabs, like David Lammy of the Labour Party, who has scabbing, and Suella Braverman, who's beyond the scab. She's an absolute monster, and is telling us not to support Palestine. And we absolutely we not only reject her, but we need to really deal with her every moment of the day, because she doesn't represent any of us, not people of color, not anyone. I wanted to finish by saying that, as people have said, Israel is a colonial settler state. They have stolen the land, they have stolen the water, they have devastated trees, they have displaced millions of people, and they expect to carry on. But the mood is changing, and we say no. And we can equate what's happening in Palestine with what happened during the Atlantic slave trade. The slavers took millions of people from Africa, and the slave master said that they should decide who lived and who died, who ate and who drank, where we went, and that was defeated. And the same thing has to happen to free Palestine and bring down the Israeli government, which is an apartheid regime. It was destroyed in South Africa, and we have to destroy it also in Israel and everywhere in the world.
Thank you, Sarah. And listen, there's another fantastic quote from James Baldwin, who said, Israel was not created for the salvation of Jews, it was created for the salvation of Western interests. I thought that's a great one.
And our brother Malcolm X also spoke against Zionism and the dangers and the ripoff. So many people of color are with us, so we want to remember them.
Thank you. Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! And before they ban it, from the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
Great. Okay. Hi, Carol. That's good, Carol. Watch out. So, Camden PSC, would you like to speak? And of course, anybody else? You're welcome. This is an open mic. Sam?
Sam will speak.
Hi, I'm Sam from International Jewish Anti-Zionist Network. We are opposed to everything that she stands for. Murder Incorporated is what she is. She's ready to say it herself. That's what it means to say you are ready to accept 600,000 dead. But let me tell you, the Israelis did not discover this is a methodology. They learned it from their major sponsors, the US and the UK.
Yes.
The US, as we all know, killed a couple of 100,000 people, overwhelmingly civilians, with 2 atomic bombs on Japan. Overwhelmingly civilians. It is probably the greatest atrocity in history. But they had already killed more than 100,000 carpet bombing Tokyo. And the British have their own wonderful legacy. And I should first mention the fact that between them, the British and the Americans killed anywhere between 35,000 and 250,000 in Dresden. The reason there's such a wide sweep, and people don't know, is because Dresden had not been bombed, and all kinds of people, all kinds of Germans went to Dresden because they thought it was safe there. Exactly what happened, let us say, in Gaza, where people were told to go south because it was safe there, and then they got bombed to hell. That's where these monsters and murderers learnt it from. But I also want to say the other side, as has been said before, there is an international movement against what they are doing. And so great is it that CNN, which is one of the biggest networks in the United States, is saying that the Biden administration is telling Israel either get it over or stop. They're already concerned that the international community will not stand for this any longer. And we're saying we will not stand for it now. And tomorrow, we talked about the demonstrations tomorrow in the UK. In the United States, there will be the first national demonstration against the bombing of Gaza and the genocide in Palestine. And I expect there to be hundreds of thousands of people show up. And I expect a huge number of those to be Jewish. And Ben, you were saying, tell us about Montreal.
Yeah, we heard that despite ban on demonstration, there will be demonstration in Paris. There's now a bigger coalition of organizations who are calling for this weekend demonstration. In Montreal, their objective is to have 100,000 people in the street tomorrow. And we know elsewhere in Europe it's going to be the same. In Spain, in Italy, everywhere people are up in arms against the genocide. I also read that in South America there are some government now, I forgot then which one, Bolivia, they want the ambassador out. Okay, we want them out. Ambassador out, out, out. Ambassador out, out, out. Ambassador out, out, out. Ambassador out, out, out. What's her name?
Blood on your hands!
Otavli. We're talking about Zippy Otavli. We want her out.
Expel her now! Wanted guilty of war crimes. Okay, just to add something to what Pete was saying, the disgrace of bombing a convoy of ambulances. We heard today too that Israel had bombed 3 hospitals today. Just outrageous. And just to add to what Sam was saying, Israel learned very specifically from the English, the British Empire. The first apartheid laws in Palestine was from the British Mandate. It was the segregation of schools. And they learned from that, and of course they extended it to what it is today, not just apartheid, but genocide. And just also to add to what Sam was saying, thousands of Jewish people have been out in the US, and they say it's the biggest demonstrations of Jews for Palestine ever. And as you know, I mean, hundreds have been arrested between the invasion of the capital and the
Station in New York.
and Grand Central Station in New York. Both, if you go on Twitter, you'll see fabulous videos of that. Okay. Yes.
Just to add to the demonstrations that are happening tomorrow, there's going to be an assembly of a whole set of groups from Queers for Palestine, Black Lives Matter, who are the other ones? Black Jewish Alliance, London Palestine Action, and a whole set of groups are going to assemble outside BBC House, Portland Place. Very good place to be, because they have been whitewashing everything that's been taking place. And they've been doing it even after they've put broadcasts out, because one of the sisters in our group sent around a speech from a really troubled woman who was spelling out what was going on in Gaza as being the worst thing she'd ever seen in her life, and that has now been taken down off the BBC site. Fortunately, our sister recorded it, so we'll get it out there very, very soon. But the other thing that has been reported is that France, this wonderful country of, what is it, Égalité, Liberté, and whatever the other A is, Fraternité, yeah? They want to now bring in a bill to make it illegal to be an anti-Zionist. I think they're on a hiding to nothing myself, and I think that's anti-Semitic really, but I think we're on a winner here, because they only do these things in response to what we do as the movement. They don't wake up thinking like that. they tried to stop us doing what we're doing. So we must be being very damn successful.
When they tried to stop the marches, thousands turned out anyway.
It's true, when they try to stop anything or say we can't do anything, we turn out in even bigger numbers to do.
You don't have the other microphone.
Have you got the stick?
Yeah, but it's okay. I mean, it should be okay.
With that, it should be alright. Yeah. Go on
Okay. So, can you tell us how you came to be here tonight?
I'm absolutely outraged of the Israeli final solution for Gaza. It is nothing but a final solution like the Nazis who used final solution for my family in the Second World War. Were exterminated, and Israel is intentionally exterminating entire family, and the aim is that targeting the children. The aim is to exterminate Gaza. They actually openly discuss in Israel, and there's a 10 pages document now published by the Israeli government, which in detail discuss how they're going to convince the world that a humanitarian solution, the final solution is a humanitarian solution to expel the 2.4 Palestinians into the desert, into Sinai desert, where they can then, at their leisure, finish exterminating them.
Have you been a member of Palestinian support groups throughout the time that it's been occupied? Or is
I've been an activist for 51 years.
Yeah, okay, that was my question.
Yes, I became an activist in Israel when I was 19, because that's when I found out about the Nakba. I was horrified when I found out the Nakba, understanding that my own childhood home was built on the land stolen from Palestinians who are now in refugee camp in Gaza, in Rafah refugee camp in the area of Rafah, which is called Yibne. And it's absolutely outrageous. Every Israeli lives in a village or town, land or a house that once belonged to Palestinians. And Palestinians should have the right to return to Palestine, not to be expelled even further from Palestine.
What kind of solution, I mean, this is a very big question and you don't have to answer it, but what kind of solution do you think we should be aiming for?
There is no solution without exercising the right of every Palestinian to return. Not only those who are now being in a process of being expulsion from the Gaza, and actually as we speak, Israel also expelling Palestinians from the occupied West Bank and the occupied East Jerusalem. But they also want to expel Palestinians who are citizens of Israel, and now many of them are being arrested and under house arrest. And Israel wants to completely have a final solution to the Palestinians. The only solution is that every Palestinian should be welcome. We Israelis are under duty to welcome every Palestinian who wishes to return.
There is a lot more support for that position within Israel, I understand.
No, there isn't.
There isn't?
There isn't. Unfortunately, most Israelis supporting the final solution.
Right.
That's
right. What about here? How does your community feel about what you're doing here?
My community is where I live in London, so they support me, my community.
Right.
But if you mean something else, I don't know what community.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know, is it a problem for you, or do you just get, or is your community mostly made up of people like yourself with same interests as yourself?
Well, about a week ago, the police came to my door and demanded that I take down the Palestinian flag from my window. They said they're asking, but they threatened me. They said I'll get in trouble if I didn't. And I said, no way. And one of the neighbors who was supporting me just happened to pass by, saw that, took a photo of the four police who
falsely claim that they just were passing by. We don't have police passing by there, definitely not 4 of them. So I took a picture and I got lots of support for it.
Oh, good. That's good. And also,
You mentioned the Facebook. You got removed from Facebook. Is that right?
Yeah, last night at 4 in the morning, I got a notice from Facebook that I'm restricted for 29 days. That's enough for Israel to complete its job of a...
Sorry. Try now. Start now.
What?
Start again. No,
Sorry.
it's just a noise. It was too
Oh,
noisy.
sorry.
yeah, so I thought something was happening.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Last night at 4 in the morning, I was still online on Facebook when I suddenly got a notice saying that I'm restricted for 29 days. 29 days is just enough for Israel to complete the genocide of Palestine. So they don't want to hear our voices. They are trying to silence us. And we know that Facebook has a contract with Israel, that they hand in hand working with Israel, and that's obviously one of the things that they agreed to do at behest of Israel, which basically facilitating the Israeli propaganda which enabled this genocide that Israel is committing against the Palestinians. It's a Holocaust, there is no other word. It's a Holocaust, what we Israelis are doing.
Work. It's just too noisy.
Oh, that's too bad.
We say loudly, Jews
Maybe
belong wherever they live.
when he stops, can we carry on when he stops?
Yeah, it's okay, yeah. Just check, look for a tissue.
Oh, I've got tissue. I think.
That's it,
Oh, no,
got
it's
it.
in my other coat. I was in trouble. What about your other social media? Like, are you on like Twitter or?
Twitter hasn't, they shadow me, so usually my posts are not seen. But the photo of the 4 police was very popular. I got 71,000 views.
Great.
Which was,
Great.
I never had anything like that.
Great.
And then there was lots of responses, including by...
Okay, so shall we go back to Facebook? Would you mind
Yeah,
spelling again?
yeah. At 4 in the morning, this morning actually, while I was still on Facebook, I got a notice from Facebook that I'm restricted now for 29 days. It's not going?
For everyone. Now, for Carol.
Yep, have a go now.
Do you want to go further then? Oh, but you want that in the background.
Go to the corner.
Do you mind if we do the whole thing over again? Because what you said was really interesting and we want it to be heard. So we started with me asking you about how you came to be here and how you came to be involved in the first place. And you talked about when you were 15.
Okay.
Talk to Anne, please.
Okay. In January 2008, I managed to get into Gaza through Egypt because the Palestinians had a very successful engineering achievement where they actually knocked down the entire wall that Israel built between separating Gaza from Egypt. And after 3 days in Gaza, we're talking about January 2008, I was thinking, okay, what is the Israeli plan? And then it's dawned on me that is the only solution that Israel is planning is the extermination of Gaza. So since January 2008, I'm absolutely in panic ever since. So obviously when this genocide started, it was obvious to me what Israel is doing. I know the Israeli society, sadly, that it is not going to object to it. There is no real opposition in Israel against the genocide. And it's literally extermination. And they have no other plan but to exterminate. And they're open about it. Israel was not secret about it. On the 17th of January 2009, they already started to build a tent city on the Egyptian side of Rafah. But that was stopped because then the media wasn't as hostile to Palestinians as it is now. Okay. So
this is the Israeli media?
No, I'm talking about international media, not the Israeli media. Right. No. But now we have a media that is so compliant with the Israeli propaganda that every fabricated lie, the most malicious, completely void of any truth, of any evidence, they publish as if it's proven evidence. And this is really part of the incitement and the way to enable a genocide. You need to dehumanize the people who are being genocide, which is also why they were forbidding even the symbol of the Palestinian, which is the Palestinian flag, which is symbolizing that they exist, that they are people. And so when the British regime was calling to criminalize, essentially, with the different pretexts, it was really important that people did wave the Palestinian flag. I have a Palestinian flag on my window. Actually, I have it now for more than a year. But about a week ago, 10 days, the police came, 4 of them came to my door, falsely claiming that they're just passing by. We don't have really police in our street, and asked me that I'll take the flag down and threatened me that if I didn't, I'll get into trouble. Obviously, I refused, and the Palestinian flag is still there. And I was so outraged at that conduct that I now have this message on my window. Sorry, not this one. Sorry. Yeah. I now have this message on my window so that it's very clear to the police. So if they want to arrest me, that I want them to arrest me at least for what I really say. It's not just the Palestinian flag. It's really that Israel is acting like the Nazis, that Israel is about final solution. And the Israeli government produced 10 pages detail how they're going to manipulate the world to perceive that expulsion of 2.4 million Palestinians out of Gaza into the desert, where they're going to finish the extermination, is a humanitarian solution. And they also were demanding funding for it. They want Europe to fund it. Netanyahu already, according to the Israeli media, already got some support within Europe. And they are discussing of how they're going to implement it. This is a really, really dangerous time because Israel is determined to implement a final solution for the Palestinians. And it's not only Gaza. They're starting to the expulsion of the West Bank. And the plan is then to force the Palestinians from the West Bank into the same concentration camp in the Sinai Desert. Netanyahu already in 1989, he already said that Israel should exploit a situation where it can expel the expulsion of all Palestinians from the territories. But there are calls in Israel, and we know that this is what they also mean, is also the expulsion of Palestinians for 1948. Palestinians who are with Israeli citizenship in the Galilee, in the Triangle, they also want to expel them. That's the Israeli dream of expulsion and extermination of all the Palestinians. We stole everything from them. I became an anti-Zionist when 51 years ago. I was 19-year-old. That's the first time, that's the only time I heard about the Nakba. I never knew that anything about it, even though my own home was built on the land stolen from Palestinians who are in refugee camp in Gaza, in the Rafah refugee camp, in an area of it which is called Yibne, because Yibne was near where I used to live, where my childhood home was. And it is so horrific that this is what where every Israeli is living in the home of Palestinians, in the land of Palestinians, and all the villages of the town, even the names are almost just a small a variation, but it is almost the same name as the Palestinian name for those places. And the only solution, there will be no other solution unless every Palestinian is welcome and is offered to return to Palestine, because they all should be returned, all the Palestinians, whether it is from Gaza, whether it is from the West Bank, whether it is from Lebanon or from or Syria or wherever they are in the world. Palestinians should have and have the right to return.
Could you talk about this, what this picket is about today, where it is and why?
Sorry. Oh, I got it all mixed up now. Sorry. No, that's the wrong one. So this is the one. Oh, sorry. I think.
Unstrangle you.
Yeah, can you do that? Thanks.
There you go. Here we go.
The protest today is at the residence of the Israeli ambassador, Tzipi Hotvili. She's a non-racist anyway. She used to endorse the campaign against any mixed relationship between Palestinians and Israelis. That's the Israeli ambassador. And now she openly supports the genocide of Gaza, and her job is to enable it, is to mobilize support, to deny that there is a humanitarian catastrophe there, so that there is no call for any support, because she says there isn't. And when you deny a genocide, then you can carry on with the genocide. She's a very, very dangerous war criminal. She should be taken to The Hague for her support, for her enabling the war crimes, the genocide, the extermination of the Palestinians. She's trivializing the genocide of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians in Gaza. She's normalizing it. That's her job. Her job is to make, and then what she does, she uses this fake claim, sorry, is that the one? Yeah. Then she uses a fake claim of anti-Semitism, but there is no anti-Semitism. There is more anti-Semitism in Israel than there is in the UK. There is more violent attack on Jews for being Jews, like, for example, Hasidic Jews who are anti-Zionist. So they are attacked for being Jews supporting Palestinians, against the extermination of Palestinians. So I've never seen as much as anti-Semitism in Israel as much as there's a lot more. There's never I experienced anything like that in the UK. But they now want to claim that Palestinian flag is anti-Semitic. This is the existence. That is the opposite. It's the denial of people by denying their flag, by making it, prohibiting it, as if you cannot mention them. This is the anti-Palestinian, which is the equivalent, which is where really racism is. The anti-Palestinian, like completely conflating them with anything, calling them animals. This is nowhere. This is how they exterminated my family in Nazi Germany, by dehumanizing them, by making all these fake claims, and like denying our right to say from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. That is very important, because denying it is denying how they're oppressed in Palestine. They're denying that they are being victim of ethnic cleansing, that they are now denying that they are being exterminated. They are now the Israeli implementing its final solution. It's really, really horrendous. I mean, I can't tell you how. I mean, it's not for no reason. At 4 o'clock, I was still trying to do things on Facebook, because I find it really difficult to sleep. It's very upsetting,
so
because
what's
the entire people are being exterminated.
What's happening with Facebook? Is that an issue?
Yeah, Facebook at 4 in the morning. This morning, banned me. They restrict my ability to operate my Facebook pages.
For what reason? I mean, what did they say?
It didn't give me any option, because I didn't really contravene anything. But they just say you contravene. But on the other hand, on my Facebook, it said there is no contravening. And they just said for 29 days, which gives Israel free hand with no people able to challenge them.
So
and it didn't just happen to me, it happened at the same time. As soon as I wrote to other people who I was campaigning with, especially about BDS, the boycott, divestment and sanction, that it was happening to them. They had exactly the same message. For 29 days, and indeed we tested it and we couldn't operate our pages. So they really want to enable, and this is partially because Israel is losing their propaganda. Because despite the billion Israel put in the propaganda, despite all the complicity and the compliance of the British media, the US media, the mainstream media, completely supporting reproducing the Israeli lies, still people you can see that. I mean, when I walk in the street with a Palestinian flag, you can tell. People don't believe it. That's it. Israel was exposed to what it is, a genocidal, settler colonialist that just want to exterminate the indigenous people. And people are not happy with that. People are not putting up with that, which is why now you have lots of protests being mushrooming everywhere, like the shutdown of the Liverpool Street in London and the New Street in Birmingham, and I believe that tonight it was planned in King's Cross. So people are really outraged, rightly so. So Israel, the only way for Israel now to win the propaganda is by shutting the people who tell the truth of what is really happening.
How about other social media?
So you say King's Cross tonight?
That's what somebody told me. I don't know if it's true. Somebody told me on my way here, somebody told me, but because my eyes I can't really see. He showed me on his mobile. He said it's 5:30 today.
5:30?
Yeah, so if they succeeded, they should be still sitting in. Because it's not a short seat in, right? Like in Birmingham, they did it all through the night.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, amazing. I mean, I have to say, people have been amazing. I mean,
you said you were talking about posting a picture, the picture of the police talking to you about the flag on Twitter, and getting a lot of views to that.
Yeah, I mean, when the 4 policemen came to my house to ask me to take down my Palestinian flag. By the way, it's been there for more than a year. A sympathetic neighbor took a photo of the police, and then they sent me. So I decided to put it online. And never have any of my posts been so popular. I got 71,000 of views, because usually even on Twitter I'm being shadowed, heavily shadowed. So what I post usually is not visible to other people. But I think it was having 4 police in very quaint, very typical quaint London street. And the police treated me. In response, the police treated me, asking me to contact them.
Did you?
I replied.
Yes.
And I said that it's not an issue about what happened to me.
Yeah.
It's the people that they're arresting
Yeah.
with fake claim of hate crime, when
Yeah.
these are people who are conscientious, who are taking action and do things because they're outraged about this genocide of babies, genocide of children, genocide of women. They are targeted. They're targeting them. They're not fighting the Palestinian fighters.
And
Israel is not
reporters,
fighting.
And reporters, targeting
Yeah?
reporters, the
Yeah.
family of reporters.
So, yeah, people have been amazing. So, I can't hear you.
Anything you want to add? Anything you want to?
So your family history is your family is in the Holocaust. Part of your family.
Yeah, most of the family would have been because both my parents escaped Nazi Germany to Britain, but Britain only allowed those who had money. So those relatives who didn't have money, they were not offered a place in the UK. They were denied, so they perished in the Holocaust. Yeah. And so I know it's since I was born, you always think about how those people, how my family and other Jews being exterminated. But in Israel, because when my parents escaped Nazi Germany, they, as I said, the families were reasonably well off and they were able to settle in the UK because they had the money to do that. But those who survived the extermination camp in Israel were victimized. They were totally socially isolated. They were called ashes. They were called soap. They were accused of going like lamb to the slaughter. And the women were accused that they survived by giving sexual benefits, sexual services to the Nazis. It was not a nice place to be in Israel if you were a Holocaust. I mean, somebody who was in the extermination camp like Auschwitz with a tattoo. No, it wasn't a nice place to be in Israel. There was more anti-Semitic. That's what I meant, part of it, when I said I see more anti-Semitism in Israel than there is anti-Semitism in the UK. Nobody would have ever dared to say those things to a Holocaust survivor, I mean extermination survivor, the extermination camp, the concentration camp, that those survivors, nobody would dare to say anything to them, but in Israel they did. And the compensation that they got were stolen by the Israeli government and the JNF, the Jewish National Fund. And when the survivors protested not that long ago that they were destitute and they were wearing the iconic clothing that symbolized the Holocaust, Israelis were accusing them of exploiting the Holocaust. They were the only people who were entitled to actually use the Holocaust because they survived it. They were really the survivors of extermination camp. Yeah.
Apparently the Israeli ambassador to the United Nations, during a debate on Gaza, pinned the yellow star to their chest during the debate, trying to
So he was wearing it?
He put it on, yeah.
Okay. Okay, let me say something. In 1988, my father, as I said, he and his family escaped Nazi Germany but it was illegal to leave, but they were still able to do that. And and from his mannerism and his body language, his age, Israelis could tell that he would have been originally from Germany. So in 1988, we had a protest in the center of Tel Aviv, in Dizengoff Circus, against the Israeli oppression of the Palestinian First Intifada. And the Kahana, the Kach, the Meir Kahana people, who are now in the government, they used to attack us every week when we had these protests. When my father came one day to visit me, he lived in near Haifa, so he came to Tel Aviv to visit, and so he joined us. So they immediately picked on him, and they said to him, "Shame the Nazis didn't finish you off." That's what they said. As I said, I never ever experienced as much as anti-Semitism as in Israel.